Seemed like he was trending in the right direction. Now he's out for 4 games. Really weird last few days when it comes to this Titus Howard situation. Let's try to get to the bottom of this. And did Demeco Ryans partake in that funny business? Let's go inside the locker room, talk about that. Plus, is it really as big of a deal as people are making it out to be? That and a lot more in the locker room.
Yeah, it's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do.
Another day. Another piece of a depleted offensive line. Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610, 10 to 2 Central, and the Odyssey app. We're a few days away from the start of the Texans season. You've come to the right place to get the pulse of things, whether you're a Texans fan or not. I appreciate you for coming through. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe, all that type of stuff. The big news today, breaking news, Titus Howard placed on injured reserve. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. So we're going to go through just the weirdness of this Titus Howard situation. We're going to hear from Demeco Ryans. We got to get to the bottom of this. So let's just go through everything that happened that got us to this point and why it just seems a little bit strange, the whole Titus Howard situation. So Titus Howard on August 5th was injured. That was 24 days ago, 25 days ago. So that was, or 31 days ago, I should say, excuse me. So that was 4 weeks from Saturday is when Titus Howard was originally injured. As soon as the injury happened, there was a surgery that was had 4 weeks from Monday. So 4 weeks ago, 4 weeks and 2 days ago. So we had the injury 4 weeks and 4 days ago, and then we had the surgery 4 weeks and 2 days ago. We then got the report that Adam Schefter, I'm sure he wasn't pulling it out of his butt. Adam Schefter reports that Titus Howard is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. Shortly after that, Titus Howard's on the field. He's working out. He's with his teammates. He's intensely running up and down the sidelines. And it appears that he's trending in the direction in that he's going to play, to the point where we're talking about, could he play left guard? And we start to wonder, is Titus Howard going to play? As a matter of fact, I'll be honest. I think most people believe, yeah, he's going to play. He's got a big ass cast on. He's going to go out there and play. We've seen offensive linemen. We've seen linebackers play with big ass casts on. Titus Howard's going to do that. He appears to be trending in that direction. He then practices on Monday. So this Monday, that was 4 weeks after the surgery, he practices on Monday. And I guess during practice, he had the cast on. After practice, he took the cast off. No word on a re-aggravation or anything like that. A lot of media types kind of buddy up to Titus Howard. I think they like that he likes their tweets or whatever, but a lot of people... No media type even hinting that Titus Howard's not going to play. Then yesterday, Tuesday. So let's just reset. So we have 4 weeks from Saturday, the injury, 4 weeks from Monday, the surgery, the 4 to 6 week timeline that was reported, intense workouts, practices on Monday, and then yesterday, because one of the theories is, well, Titus Howard must have re-aggravated it during practice yesterday. I don't even know that they were in pads on Monday. As a matter of fact, I don't think they were. I think they were in pads today. I'm not sure if they were even in pads on Monday. Maybe they were. Yeah, they might have been. But so there's a theory that maybe he re-aggravated it on Monday, re-aggravated the hand, which is always a possibility. However, yesterday, the depth chart comes out. We could take depth charts with a grain of salt. I think there's like some integrity that comes with them. He's first string on the depth chart Tuesday. Tytus Howard listed as first string on the depth chart. Now, Blake Cashman hasn't practiced, and he's listed as second string. Maybe they don't think he's going to start anyways. Who knows? But he's first string on the depth chart yesterday. And then he's placed on injured reserve today at about 2:40-ish. I was eating at Saltgrass. The only reason I know is because I had a meeting at the station. Got to Saltgrass about 2:47, 2:48, so 2:50-ish. Got the alert that Tytus Howard was going to be on IR. Now, here's where this is interesting, and here's where, you start to wonder and you start to learn. And I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad thing, but Demeco Ryans goes up and meets with the media approximately 90-ish minutes, 100-ish minutes before this news comes out. And he talks about the state of the offensive line. Let's hear what Demeco Ryans had to say about the state of the offensive line.
How are you feeling about him?
Feeling good about our preparation with CJ and the offense. They had a really good practice today, and looking forward to them to continue to improve on what they've been doing, right? They're doing a really good job. Bobby's doing a good job with those guys. And just keep getting better one day at a time. We'll see how we end up.
Your process in selecting captains, was it?
So then we have the captain question. How do you select captains? The team votes on it. We know that, blah, blah, blah. We'll get to the offensive line now. Here we go. Shout out to Matt Musil, legend. Great guy. Shout out to Matt.
Our offensive line has done a really good job. I think Coach Trosser and Cole has done a really good job of putting in the extra time, right? Meeting with the guys, making sure they get caught up to speed as quickly as possible. We got smart guys who picked up things really well and had a clean practice today. And just seeing those guys just continue to improve. I know it's been, a short time for those guys, but they've done a really good job of what they've been asked to do in a short period of time.
All right, so I had a really clean practice today. Was okay. All right. Now we're going to get the Titus question here. And some more O-line questions, but let's hear what Demeco had to say. And again, this was 90 minutes before the news came down.
Starting offensive line to this point?
No.
How would you balance Tytus Howard coming back from his hand, working with him with the potential?
Does it look like he knows something? Let's investigate.
Yeah, Titus is still working day to day. We'll see where that gets to with Titus.
That's what we got. 90 minutes later, he's on IR. What happened? I'm not even trying to say there's any funny business or anything. I'm just saying something happened. Like something happened this week with Tytus Howard. Because you don't intensify your workout. You don't hear 4 to 6 week timeline, and then all of a sudden he goes on IR. Like this isn't like a situation where in these 4 to 6 week timelines, like I wouldn't trust Adam Schefter to be a doctor, but these 4 to 6 week timelines, they don't come out of nowhere. On Sunday, when the Texans play, that's going to be 1 day short of 5 weeks with Tytus having his surgery. So do they think he was just going to miss the max and they just wanted to put him on IR to open up a roster spot? Or did something else happen? I mean, maybe the 6 weeks was more realistic, and sometimes as fans, sometimes as media types, it's almost unfair to the athlete when we'll hear more from Demeco later. Sometimes it's just kind of unfair to the athlete that they have these time frames because you start to unrealistically expect stuff. I'm fully aware of that. So maybe it was just as simple as, look, 4 to 6. We thought maybe it could be 4. It's going to be closer to 6. If he's going to miss 6, we might as well put him on IR so that we can open up the roster spot, and then we can bring him back, and he's for sure going to be 100%, and there's not going to be any more damage done to the hand. Maybe it's that simple. But it's just wild that he goes out there on Monday. Demeco says they're working through it. It seems like it appears to be like a foregone conclusion that Titus is going to be out there, and then bada bing, bada boom, Titus Howard on IR. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not sitting here screaming that there's some sort of conspiracy theory. I just think it's an interesting timeline. Because I think myself, like many people, just assumed we were going to see Titus Howard out there with a big ass club on his hand. And he was going to be out there, trying to do his thing on the right side. So what does this mean in the short term? In the short term, it really just means that Tytus Howard is going to not be there. So maybe you got George Fant on the right side, and then you figure out what you're going to do in the middle. Maybe this means Dieter's activated now. And maybe Dieter starts at left guard and they figure out what they're going to do at center, which could be Patterson, could be Kendrick Green. I know Aaron Wilson reported on KPRC or whatever that according to sources, this is a proactive report. According to his sources, I guess he said that Kendrick Green was going to start at center, which who knows how that could go. Something interesting kind of happened there. Coming up in about, we'll say 10 minutes, why this might not be as big of a deal as many are making it out to be. I got some text today on the not on the show, but on the video that I put out about the Titus Howard thing that, season over and stuff like that. Like, really? I mean, season over because Titus Howard's out 4 weeks? Okay. I mean, if that's the case, your team sucks. I'm not saying that, you're not better off without Titus Howard, but if season's over because Titus Howard got hurt, man, you got some problems. Because he's going to miss 4 weeks. That seems a little bit crazy. Subscribe, like, right along. Let's hear more from Demeco. This is Demeco. Let's hear him talking about Lamar Jackson and what he feels about Lamar. People always try to get really like romantic with Demeco at his press conferences, like reflective and stuff. But let's just hear him talk about Lamar.
For a quarterback as unique as Lamar Jackson, especially considering the fact that he's got a new offensive coordinator from last year.
The challenge with Lamar is he's one of the most dynamic players in the NFL. Right? You talk about the athlete that he is and the plays that he's able to make, right, with his feet, but also Lamar does a good job of, putting the ball where he wants to put it, right? He has some more targets this year, right? Their focus has been on emphasis on throwing the ball more, getting him more weapons on the outside, explosive weapons, and we're gonna have our hands full with that, right? Being able to cover those guys, and also having to deal with Lamar and his playmaking ability, right? One of the top quarterbacks in this league when it comes to playmaking, and so respect him his entire career. He's done a really great job for the Ravens, and they've been a consistent organization when it comes to winning and being in the hunt every year. Those guys are always there. So it's a credit to Coach Harbaugh and what he's done with that entire group.
You talk about the consistency of the Ravens. The defense has been pretty good for a while. What kind of challenges does that present? And maybe what kind of challenge would that present for a rookie quarterback versus someone who maybe has seen the Ravens?
I think
right. It's going to be tough playing in their place with that defense. You can go back 20 years. That defense it's been a great unit, and it hasn't changed, right? Coach McDonald's done a great job of leading that unit. They'll give you multiple looks, right? They want to force you to get to third down. They play really good ball on third down. They know how to get off the field. So it's going to be a challenge for our guys, right? Rookie quarterback, it's going to be a tough challenge for us, but it's nothing that we're backing down from or we're not up to, right? We're up to the challenge, and we'll face it. It's one play at a time, and let's see, who comes out on top on Sunday.
Perhaps one of the bigger injuries that we haven't really talked about as much because kind of the Titus thing overshadowed it is Jimmy Ward in the hip. Now, Jimmy's not practicing the first couple of days. I don't know what Jimmy Ward, his practice schedule is going to be. Typically, when you get 10-year vets, there's a lot of times that their practice schedule is such where some veterans get Wednesdays off. Like sometimes it's that simple, Wednesdays off. So tomorrow, Friday, that's going to be the real interesting practice reports where we get a little bit more of a grasp. And let's be honest, Jimmy Ward knows this system like the back of his hand. He's been running it for a few years now. He's been playing with this coach. So if Jimmy, and the other thing about Jimmy is that dude practices hard. Like, so if he's a little nicked up with the hip, you know what you're going to get with Jimmy. Jimmy knows what to expect. He's kind of a veteran. We don't really know his practice schedule. But if Jimmy Ward's not playing, then I think that's a bigger problem than Tytus Howard. I really do. I think Jimmy Ward in this type of atmosphere, in this type of situation, is very valuable. And I'm very anxious to see what's up with Jimmy Ward. Demeco was asked about it. I think we've gotten a pretty decent idea of how Demeco is going to answer injury questions, but we'll listen to it anyways. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the coach. Let's see. We'll figure it out type of thing. But why the hell not? Let's listen to Demeco.
Can you tell us about Jimmy Ward, the options behind him if he's not able to go?
Yeah, Jimmy is pushing back, day to day to get back out there. We'll see where Jimmy ends up. Our safeties have been a very deep group for us all throughout training camp. 4 guys back there who can all play, have all played a lot of ball in this league. So I'm encouraged by the depth at our safety position and feel like it's one of our strongest units on our team.
All right, so he says safety is one of the strongest units on the team. I would say that's the case when Jimmy Ward's healthy. I haven't had to watch, Eric Murray and Graylin Arnold out there with Jalen Petrie. So, yeah, we shall see. But I think the Jimmy Ward injury would be something that it probably get my attention just a little bit more than the Titus Howard situation. Let's see if Demeco says anything else interesting here in the locker room on YouTube.
As a player, what are the differences between starting off the year playing at home and having the fan support behind you versus your first time going out there in action on the road and around the environment?
Yeah, whenever you line up, like I told our guys, wherever we line up, it really doesn't matter to me. Right, it's about how you execute. Are you on the details of your job, right? Are you doing everything that you're supposed to do, everything that we've coached guys to do? Are you doing that, right, with all the effort that you have, with all the precision, right, that you have? Can you go operate that way? And it doesn't matter where we play it, on the road, at home, no matter how it shapes out, wherever you play, you have to execute. And that's what this game always comes down to, is executing, and it's playing smart and situational football.
What does it say about CJ that he was able to earn that captain status as a rookie?
With CJ earning the captain status, it says a lot about his teammates and what he's done over a short period of time of being with these guys, is that the guys respect him. The locker room respects him. They look up to him, right, even though he's a young guy. Right, so I told our guys, you can be a leader. I don't care if you're a young guy. The leadership just doesn't go to the oldest guy in the room. It's about who is the man that can get others around them to play better, right? And that's what CJ can do. That's what he provides to our team.
Very locked in for this week, but JJ is going to make his national debut.
Who cares? I don't care about the JJ thing.
Was that year?
Demeco, I'm sure there's a million things you can answer here, but in your debut as a head coach,
That's just the past. I had great
Whatever.
in coverage, right? Get antsy and they lose. All right, Lamar can look to him at any time and he'll find a way to get him the ball. It doesn't matter if he's open or he's covered. Like, we have to be on him. We have to be sticky in coverage, and we're going to have to compete, right, to make a play. He's a really physical player, athletic guy who can stretch the field vertically. So Andrews is a tough out for us.
Badass. They should have drafted him, man. I remember when Andrews was in that draft, man. God. Took Martinez Rankin, ended up taking God, that sucked.
Is there a thing or two that you've learned about being a head coach that maybe you didn't know about when you got the job that you learned over these 6 months?
One thing learned, but one thing is definitely came true is that you can't do it all alone, right? You have to have great help, and you have to learn how to delegate and trust the people around you. And that's one thing that's ring true to me as a head coach. It's a lot of work, but I love it. I love coming to work every day, and I'm really appreciative of all the help that I have around me.
Last one here.
Right, here you go.
Look at the secondary, the talent you guys have assembled, and the wide receivers they have with Beckham, Zay Flowers, and others. What do you think of that matchup? And
You're getting an Odell return on Sunday too. That's going to be hyped up. Odell spoke to the media today. It's really didn't say much, but Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, we're getting going to get a look at some intriguing weapons.
just good against good.
If you're going to play right defensive back in this league, corner, safety, you can call it the entire right secondary linebacker. If you're going to play in this league, you're going to have a tough match every week. Right, these receivers are good, and it's no different this week going against the Ravens with Aguilar, with Odell, with Zay. All these guys are dynamic playmakers, so you just have to be disciplined. Everybody has to play together. Right? You don't go out there and win it on your own. We have to play together, and that comes with rush and coverage playing together.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, there you go. That's Demeco Ryans. We'll hear from Lamar Jackson a little later on in the show. Lamar Jackson spoke on his excitement level as well as the Texans' new staff. It is the locker room. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. A lot of good stuff going on the side, on the chat. The big news today, Titus Howard placed on IR. Will miss first 4 games of the season. Other injuries, Blake Cashman, Jimmy Ward, John Mechie did not participate in practice. Now, Mechie is not going to play on Sunday. That's I think we've kind of established that. Who knows how they handle Mechie early on. Jimmy Ward, again, don't know what his routine is going to be. That's something to keep an eye on. He's probably also someone who knows this system like the back of his hand. But that would be a big injury. Cashman's been out kind of for a while. Who knows what's going to happen there? He's listed as second string behind Hansen at the strong side linebacker position. Christian Harris, little bit of progress, goes from out on Monday to limited today. And then Dario, he was limited as well. That's kind of a special teams thing there. So we will see how that goes. We'll hear from Lamar Jackson in a sec. But I kind of want to touch on a couple of things with this Tytus Howard thing. And I know it's never good to lose your starting right tackle, but there's a couple of things that I think maybe should be kept in mind. The betting line has been unfazed by these offensive line issues. I know that betting lines aren't the end-all, be-all, but there are some players where if they get hurt or they're missing games, the line may shift a teeny tiny bit. The line has remained at 10. It is stayed at 10 from the very beginning. So do with that what you will, but if you're one of these people who feel like, it's the end of the world that Tytus Howard is out, then maybe you should just go bet, because there's nothing that has happened to this betting line with Tytus Howard, Kenyon Green, and Juice Scruggs going out. It hasn't happened. It hasn't moved at all. It started at 10. It's remained at 10. So do with that information what you want. I say all that to say, yes, it sucks, but it's not like anything groundbreaking, at least if you follow the bread, follow the money. The other thing about this is if you look at the Texans and you look at what their recipe is for success, what are the things, like if I asked you to list 3 things that would be the most important things for the Texans to be a very competitive football team? And let's say a competitive football team that's around the 6 to 9 win range, where they have a chance to win games. Like let's say if they win 5 or 6 games, then they are probably in 4 or 5 one possession games. Like if I told you that the Texans were going to surprise people, what would you say the recipe is? Some people would say it's the offensive line. Like you had high hopes for the offensive line. Now that the offensive line has all these question marks, maybe a big ingredient in your recipe is gone. So, you have concerns. My recipe is, number one, defense. I think the talent on this defense is such to where there are guys that played here last year that still have potential to significantly elevate their games to where they become really good players. And there are guys that they added that I think have potential to make it a lot better. So defense was my number one thing. Like, if you asked me, like, what could the Texans be really good at that we don't expect them to be good at, I wouldn't bet on this being a top 10, 15 offense. Even in a best case scenario, if they could have the improvement with the new coordinator and new players and the first year coach, like the Giants had, where they went from one of the two worst offenses in the NFL to middle of the road, I think you would take that. I think that type of improvement is there. But if you look at the Texans and you look at Will Anderson, he's the most popular pick for defensive rookie of the year. And typically defensive rookies of the year are going to wreck games. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson did it last year. You look at the fact that they have a top 3 pick in Derek Stingley at corner. And then they have a good safety duo, solid corner on the other side. And then more depth on D-line, linebackers a little bit questioned. The recipe was defense. And that's not even mentioning Demeco Ryans in his scheme. So my first ingredient was going to be defense. That hasn't necessarily been touched. The next top ingredient for me would be offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick knowing what the hell he's doing. And for way too long, I'm not even going to count the last 2 years. I'm just going to eliminate. I'm going to men in black that SOB and just go forgotten. But the years before that with BOB, with O'Brien, you were just dependent on talent bailing you out. And that's not a recipe for high-level success. That's not a recipe for getting the most out of what the cards that you're dealt. So if Bobby Slowick is going to be worth a damn, he's going to have to handle situations like this. He's going to have to not be dependent on players. Now, obviously, you need players. And you want, in a perfect world, everyone to be healthy. But you have to be able to scheme to where whenever, you're missing certain guys, that you scheme. If that means that you're chipping the end a little bit more, or helping on the interior, or rolling out and stuff like that, or getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quicker, that's what you got to do. And if Bobby Slowick's worth a damn, then the offense can't just completely unravel because you're missing a couple of offensive linemen. You can't have that happen. So Bobby Slowick this is a challenge for Bobby Slowick. It's a tough challenge, but I think these are the types of situations where you really judge what Bobby Slowick does. And then number 3 is head coach, Demeco Ryans. Is Demeco Ryans able to get the most out of his team when their backs are against the wall? That's really where Demeco Ryans is going to have to that's why Demeco Ryans was so highly regarded, and that's what they're going to have to do. So that recipe is still kind of there. The recipe for the Texans is still there. It's still in place. And I think that's kind of that goes along the lines of why the line hasn't really moved. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how dependent you're going to be on CJ. There's going to be times where CJ is going to have to figure something out. I'm not even really laying out expectations for CJ Stroud at this point because I don't know damn thing about Bobby Slowick. Really don't know much about these weapons. And if you're expecting CJ Stroud to go out there and, carry you or figure stuff out, like maybe Deshaun used to back in the day whenever there was like shorthanded situation, I just think that's kind of unfair. I want to see what goes on with him, but I think it's very fair to expect this defense to play better than they're expected to play. And right now, Vegas has them giving up 27 points. So we'll see what happens. I think there's potential to be a lot of forced turnovers with this defense. I think this defense has big play potential, and we'll see how that works out. Now, if they're going to do that, it's a pretty tough task. They're going to have to handle Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson on Sunday, it will have been 280 days since he's played a football game. He's really, really good in season openers, really good. Here's Lamar Jackson with the media talking about what exactly it is that has allowed him to be so good in these season openers.
That allow you to go out there and consistently play so well? Just missing the game. I'll say, just not being out there on the field in a real game, just the physicality out there that goes on, making the fans happy. I don't know. I love every game, though, not just week one. So I don't know.
Lamar Jackson's such a likable dude. I'm a big fan of Lamar. Here's Lamar on the Texans staff. We've kind of asked the question, what exactly do you watch when you don't really know what to expect? Like, what is Bobby Slowick watching when it comes – we know Bobby Slowick's watching the Ravens defense. What is Demeco Ryans watching when it comes to a new Baltimore offense and Lamar Jackson going out there? Same thing with Lamar. Haven't seen a lot of these Texans players. What are they watching? I think he kind of tipped his hand and let us know where their film study might be going in Baltimore.
We're going to see.
Lamar, with the new coaching staff down there in the Texans, is it different to prepare for, because this, you haven't seen the Texans with this new coaching staff before, any film of that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a little bit more challenging going into this game because there might be a little bit more uncertainties about how that defense might look?
It depends. Like you said, different, coach, different players. But the system is, sort of similar to other teams, who we played in the past, and from watching film, watching 49ers defense and coach come from 49ers, similar defenses.
All right. So there you go. So they're watching San Fran tape, I guess. Not sure how that goes. Again, that's a tough one. I don't even know that if there's like a right answer on how to prepare in that situation. If you're Lamar, if you're Baltimore, or if you're the Texans, I don't know how you figure that type of stuff out, but it'll be interesting. The big news though, Titus Howard is going to be out. We should get tomorrow when the practice report comes out, should probably be about 1-ish. It'll probably be about noonish when we get a grasp, 11-ish, maybe 11:40 of what's going on and what the practice report is. Hopefully, if you want to know something to look out for, look out perhaps for Jimmy Ward to be practicing, and then it's just basically musical chairs when it comes to the offensive line. Appreciate everyone for coming through, partaking in the chat. Tomorrow we're going to hear from CJ Stroud, what he had to say in anticipation of his NFL debut. Please be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. It's the Locker Room. No matter what happens when it comes to the Texans, we're all in this together. Appreciate you for coming through. Next time we speak, it'll be 3 sleeps till the season opener. And by the way, this is the final sleep before the season effing starts. So this is the last show of 2023 where the season isn't upon us. What a time to be alive. What a time to follow this thing. Please remember, we are all in this together. Thanks for coming through.
Every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.